14th of July, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Hey, good morning again. Here we are. Okay, let's see. We should. Okay, we're going through the Mishna Berura Chavetz Chaim. He has a tremendous tremendous essay on Kaddish, and also it applies to the chiyuvim of taking the Amid as well. Who takes precedent? So we are now here by as Pasav Magen Avraham, correct? And again, you have it. You see where it is in your Mishnah Berurah. Now we're getting toward the end. Right. And it was.
I have B'Shuvas Chasam Sofer. Is where we finish.
See.
And the fourth line.
Let's see. Fourth wide line.
In the Berura.
Yeah, right. Well, okay, that's good. Let's start from there then, if you like. You're fine. Very good. Okay.
Oh, you want me to start? If you're going to talk today, I hate talking to myself. The I B'Chuvas Chasam Sofer, and look in the Chuvas of the Chasam Sofer. The Ein Lahaskir Zechia B'Makom Avelim. What did he say? He said,
Zechia, this was a bit difficult. What the
that somebody who's hired to do it cannot, I guess, daven in place of Avelim or say Kaddish in place of Avelim?
Apparently, that Malcolm of Veiling, in a situation where you have a Veiling there, right? Right. It means that the person who's hired doesn't have a zechus where there are availing there. I mean, if someone had hired somebody, right? If someone had hired somebody to say Kaddish or to maybe take the Amud, that person doesn't have any merit, it doesn't have any advantage over the availing themselves. He's only hired to do it. That's the Shuvas Chasam Sofer there. Right. Sometimes you have that. Sometimes you have a person who's somebody say Kaddish for them, right? So if that person's being hired to say Kaddish, he doesn't have any precedence over the actual availing.
Oh, it's just like, yeshivas will say Kaddish for people. You give a donation and they'll have somebody say Kaddish for people. Is that what we're talking about?
That might be what it's talking about. If that's the case, then you have a little bit of a conflict, because if it's the yeshiva minyan, for example, right?
Yep.
The yeshiva minyan, and so let's say that they have somebody. Let's say the mishkiach. He says Kaddish for people who give donations, right?
Right.
So, but let's say one of the younger light is an oval, right? Can he, the oval, be doicha the mishkiach, because it's really, it's considered, from that point of view, it's like considered like a private minion, right? So that's a good question. That would be a very good question, Lamaisa. I'm not sure. Okay, maybe that'll become.
Okay.
He's going to now can explain a little bit, as he says, about the difference in the dinning between a person who is a resident in the minyan and somebody who's a guest in the minyan.
Okay.
So that
Does it matter if the person is paid or he's just doing it for free?
Well,
I know in the yeshiva, like Rabbi first said, usually people will make a donation to the yeshiva. I know it's certainly true of my son's yeshiva. People make donations in order to have Kaddish said for a relative when they can't do it, or there aren't sons available to do it. They'll have a yeshiva do it, and they give a donation. And there's a song. I mean, there's a big plaque that has, everyone has your side today. There might be 40 names listed of people they're saying Kaddish for that day. And there'll be various younger light in the yeshiva saying Kaddish for each of the people.
right.
Does it matter
So-
if there's a money involved or not?
I don't know. In terms of the precedence of who's going to say the Kaddish, and again, we're talking about when, according to the old custom, that only one person would say the Kaddish, or it matters here in terms of the shots, because it can only be one shot. So let's say you have a yortzeit, let's say a younger man in the yeshiva, or a bacher in the yeshiva has a yortzeit, and then one of these donor has a yortzeit then too. So who's going to push it off? Now we see that the custom sofer said that a person who's hired can't push off the veiling, right? Because
What I'm saying is there's a third person.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
right.
third person is not receiving any money. There's no donation. There's no payment to him. Is he in the same boat as the one who's doing it for the charitable donation? Or is he in the same boat as the other one who's doing it for himself?
well, he's more or less like, again, how do we that's what we're going to see next. The person who's giving the donation, right? The person giving a donation, is he considered like an oreach, a guest, or he's considered like a toshev, a resident, right? So if, for example, like the younger man always davens in the yeshiva, and also, but like the mishkiach, or the person who's the shliach to say the Kaddish, or to take the amid for the yortzeit, he's also a toshev in the yeshiva, right? So that case is not exactly clear.
Uh-huh.
It could be, you could consider it if the person who's the shliach for the yeshiva, so the yeshiva, they're the residents, and and in that from that point of view, from that perspective, the younger light could be considered an oreach. From one point of view, you could say that, even though he davens there all the time, right? But still, it's like the yeshiva's minion. So the yeshiva, or anyone who's in a shliach, an agent for the yeshiva, they would be considered to be toshivim, and anyone who's not working for the yeshiva, he would be considered an oreach, even though he might daven there the whole time, constantly. That remains to be seen. That's a point. I don't know about that. Have to try and clarify that.
All right, so shall we continue?
Yes.
Okay, the ata nivar kitsas vidine toshe ve'oreach, and we're going to explain a little bit on the laws of the resident and the guests. Im shneim b'nei shloshim o b'nei yud b'is chodesh o shnehem yortzeit. if the two people are both in Shloshim or in the Yud Beis Chodesh, or they're both having a yortzeit on the same day, Docha HaToshev Es HaOreach. The resident is going to push aside the visitor legamri completely.
Right.
Melos Parel Velomer Kaddishim Ala Amud. From in order to do the davening, you say Kaddish from the Amud. Ach b'prisas Shema v'Kaddish shel HaPesach shel HaPesach Shneim Shavin Yachluchu Begoro. It's only in the Shema, the Kaddish, that it's open to both of them, that they're Pesach, I'm not sure what that is, they're equal and you have a Goro. What are you talking about here? All right,
Yeah, we had this expression previously, right?
and we didn't understand it then either. We didn't understand it then either.
Yeah, right. It's also still not clear.
Okay.
I'm gonna try. I have to speak with. I didn't have time last day or two to corner
Okay.
somebody and to go through it, but it needs
Okay.
needs explanation. The same question we had previously, we have again now. Also,
Oh.
all right.
Okay. When we call Malcolm, in any event, in any case, Pam Rishona Yesh Rishus L'Oreach Ben Yud Beis Chodesh Le'Yispalel V'Lomer Kaddish Yasom V'Malcolm Toshev Ben Yud Beis Chodesh. In all cases, the first time there is permission for the guest.
Was it Ben Yud Beis Chodesh? I mean, it's an array
Right.
who's within the first 12 months.
Right, to daven and say Kaddish Yasam in place of the resident, who is also Ben Yud Beis Chodesh. V'chein b'chol shloshim yom yesh reshus la'orech lehispalel le'omer Kaddish Yasam pam echad. And similarly for the shloshim, there's permission for the orech to daven and to say one Kaddish Yasam.
Just so he gets discussed to say one Kaddish Yasam.
Okay.
Right.
Yortzeit Toshev v'chein uben shloshim oreach. If the resident has a yortzeit and the guest is in his shloshim, hareach yomer kaddish shlishi. The guest says the third kaddish v'toshev yomer kaddish rishon v'sheni. Says the first and second kaddishes. Yortzeit oreach ben shloshim toshev. If the yortzeit is a visitor and the toshev is in his shloshim, or ben Yud Beis Chodesh, or in his 12 months, or the toshev is in his 12 months. Yesh liyortzeit oreach, the yortzeit who's the visitor, Rak Kaddish gets one Kaddish, the Hainu Kaddish Rishon. That's the first Kaddish. Okay, Ben Shloshim Oreach Ben Yud Beis Chodesh Toshav. If the guest is in his Shloshim and the resident is in Yud Beis Chodesh, Shneim Shavan, they're considered equal. Yalchu B'Kol HaTefillah B'Kadeshim, and they divide the davening and the Kaddish. Yimesh Ben Shloshim Toshav. If the resident is in his Shloshim, the yortzeit. I'm sorry. If the resident is in his shloshim and the yortzeit is a resident, and there's a yortzeit who's a visitor, yesh yortzeit oreach gam kein kaddish echad. The yortzeit who is a visitor gets one kaddish. V'enu yochel hayortzeit toshev lomer yortzeit. The ein yochel hayortzeit toshev lomer leyortzeit yoreach. And the yortzeit who is a resident can't say to the yortzeit who is an oreach. Sorry, next page. I need kaddish. I need kodem negdech. Shiomer lo hayortzeit oreach, because the guest yortzeit can say, "Lav mimcha skilna elu ben shloshim." It's not that from me that you're getting it; it's from the ben shloshim you were getting it.
Right. I mean, the claim is, I'm not taking away from you, right? You're not taking away from me, you're taking away from the Ben Shlosh. Right.
Okay. Vayomer, your site Toshev Kaddish Rishon, and your site, who's a resident, says says the first Kaddish. The your site Oreach Kaddish Sheni, your site is a visitor, says the second Kaddish. The Ben Shloshim Kaddish Shlishi, and the Ben Shloshim says the third Kaddish. The Atah Nivara Ma Yikra Oreach Hatosh V'Toshev.
So
Now
here comes the definition of what it is in a rech and what's a tosh. What's a guest and a resident?
Okay. Im also shemesh yeshlo banim be'ir acheres uvo l'sham. If the person who died has sons in a different town and they came here, enam nikron toshvim b'shvil avihem, they're not considered residents because of their father. Yderech v'po v'gam nikaver sham. Shadorpo, who lives there and is buried there. Rak osam hadarim toch akihila. It's only those who live in the kahila, in the community. They're called dore hakihila nikro and toshuv. Anybody who belongs to the community is called a tosha. Hein osam shinosnim mas o misharte haki or misharte hakila. These are people who give money or serve the congregation. But few aniya ir sheyesh lahem diras keva, and even the poor people in the city who have a diras keva is a temporary dwelling.
That's Diras kava. Diras kava is a permanent. It's permanent.
Okay, they have a permanent dwelling. Kulam toshvim, kulam hashim, but they're considered residents.
Right. All of them. All of them are considered to be residents.
Right. Im adam kovea diraso toch hakihila. If a person establishes his dwelling inside the community, az mishas shehu chayev lisa ba'ol im darihat hila tashiv toshav. As soon as he takes on is required to take on the obligations of the community, he is considered a resident.
Right.
If the balabayas has a teacher, or bechorim halomdim b'yeshiva, or young men who learn in the yeshiva, or shamash or shamash hamushbar lizman, or he serves the community. I'm not what.
That this is what, here. That is Osh Misham. I guess he's Misham Hamuska. Hamuska. Okay.
He's a single person, doesn't have a wife or children. Oz Gam Hu Nikra Toshav. He's also considered a Toshav, a resident. Excuse me, but if he has a wife and children in another place, then he has to live in Oreach. The Balabayas Megado basically Yatsam, and if the Balabayas is raising an orphan in his house, I feel the schar, even if he's being paid for it, in lo av ve'em mekom acher, and the Yatsam does not have a mother or father in another place, Aznika Toshi, he was also considered a resident.
That's the Yosem.
Balabayas is considered resident. But if the Yosem has a mother or father in another place, the Balabayas is not considered a resident. Even if he is raising him as a tzedakah, through tzedakah. and certainly if he's being paid for it. I mean, I sort of understood most of that, but there's a lot of it was still kind of unclear.
Okay, maybe let's go back. Let's go back to this place. Im Adam Kovea Dira B'tocha Kahal. If a person is going to fix his residence within the community, as therefore Mishashu Chayav Lisa Oil Im Daria Kahal Chashiv Toshiv. Then, if that's the case, number one, the condition is he has to have a fixed residence within the community, and as soon as he begins to to share in the community responsibilities, right? Along with the rest of the people who live within the community, then that gives him a status of being a toisha, right? So
Right.
right. So first of all, the Mr. Berura here is not really going into is he a resident of this shul? He's not. He's just considered to be a resident of the kahal, right? He's not going into different. We have a lot of different shuls. Person can go to 2 or 3 different shuls in the course of a day, right? So broaching that question,
But I think we're going back to the issue of small towns where there
Right.
was like, there was one shul, it was a community, and there was one shul for the community.
that's right. Basically, people didn't have the small shtibloch. They had one basic kahal, one basic shul in the kahal, and that was where everyone davened, right? So it wasn't such an issue about people coming from different shuls. How that would apply, I'm not sure. Could be maybe if this person's considered a resident of this shul, like he pays his dues to the shul, he's involved with the things that you have to take and go on with this particular shul, as opposed to another shul might be in the same neighborhood. He davens maybe the mincha there once in a while, a mayor there once in a while, but he doesn't really have any much to do with the upkeep and the running and the needs of that particular shul. So maybe that could apply the same rules to that as well. I don't know. It's all conjecture.
Sure.
So, okay, I'll call. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in Edison, where Mayor and I come from, it is not uncommon for people to belong to, 3 or 4 shuls in town.
Right. Definitely. So, but let's say a person he always goes to one of the shuls. That's he davens there day and night all the time. Right? He wouldn't even think of going, down the block to the other shul. Not that he's unlike them, but this is where he davens. Right? And another person, he kind of floats around, right? So, and let's say they both have your side on the same day. So who's going to have precedence? Right?
Yep.
So that would be the question.
Mhm.
So let's just continue up to trying to clarify this last few lines of the Mishna Berura, the Birulachi here. In yesh balabayas malamed or bachurim halomdim b'yeshiva. Let's say a person balabas is a malamed, or there are bachurim that are learning in the yeshiva. Oshamish muskar lizman, and he's serving the muskar lizman. I'm not sure who's serving who here. But, he's renting, so he's mishamish the muskar lizman.
Okay.
Yeah, he's serving the one who's renting from. He serves him in some way. He's a bach, and he's not married. He has no wife or children. Maybe he's also considered to be toshet, right? Because he's not drawn after any other place. He has no family anywhere else. Where he is where he is. So it's not considered to be where he is a toshet. Let's say he's now right in Yerushalayim, but his wife and children live in Bnei Brak. So then he only has a din of a areya. Okay. Again, last line here too. Ima balabayas migadol it be beso yosam. If the balabayas is going to raise a orphan in his house, even if he's getting paid, and the child yosam has no father nor mother, anywhere else. As nikra toshev, I guess the balabayas is called a toshev.
Right.
Let's say the I guess maybe he's only also from the one of the two parents. If he has a father or mother in another place in a nikra tosha, and who's taking care of him is not considered a tosha. The Torah, even if Nigadol him b'torah tzedakah, meaning he's doing it for free, he's not getting paid. Nevertheless, that doesn't make a difference. It's the same halakha kumashi kasavim who etzlo b'skar. Even if he's getting him money, he's still considered to be a tosha. Okay.
Before we start talking about the definition of resident and non-resident.
Yeah.
You're saying he's talking about Kaddish Rishon, Kaddish Sheni, Kaddish Shlishi.
Right.
But he never really defines what those terms mean.
Yeah.
I don't remember him defining what those
No,
terms.
he didn't really. It's obviously it's taken for granted what they mean. I'm not sure what it means. It could be the ones at the end of davening. He's already made reference to those, so I don't think he's referring to those. Right.
Okay.
So
But but there aren't. Okay. When I daven, okay, where I daven, okay, we have a Kaddish after Yud Midos at the start.
right.
We have a Kaddish after Miso Shir Kunuk bias also right at the start.
Correct. Right.
Okay. Then the rest of the Kaddishes are all said by the Shliach Tzibor until you get to the Kaddish of Aleinu, the Kaddish of Shir Shal Yom, and the Kaddish of Pitham Ketoris.
Right. Correct.
Okay. So in that case, first of all, there are 5 that don't belong to the Shliach Tzibor, not 3. Okay.
Right.
Now it could be that Mizmor Shir, Olenu, and Shir Shal Yom are all Kaddish Yasam, and maybe it could be that's what he's talking about. Okay, and
Possibly.
and
Right.
Yud Gimel Midos and Pitim Ketoris are Kaddish Durabanan, and that could be maybe they're not part of they don't get divided up. Everybody says them.
Yeah. It's really not clear, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not. Maybe those people who are dealing with this regularly, they know and understand it, but not maybe like the Gabbai would say, yeah, that's definitely that's the Rishon. Everyone knows that. But also with the Paras Shema, with Kaddish al Psicha. What's the Kaddish al Psicha?
I don't know.
No.
Okay.
All right, Mitzvah Shem, I'll try and clarify these things, and if we have some clarification, we can get back to it. In the meantime, though, that brings us to the end of this, and so I think we'll start Yom Rishon. It'll be not actually a Tainus Nitya. It's going to be Tainus Nitya Yom Rishon, and so I'm planning to give shir. That shouldn't affect. We hope to see you there on Yom Rishon, and we'll start again.
All right.
We'll start the 3 weeks. That'll be, you'll need the Perek Vav, the volume 6 in the Mishna Berura there, the halachas of Tainus in the 3 weeks in Tisha B'Av, 9 days. Okay.
All right. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you too. Be well. Thank you, Mayor.
Good
Thank you,
job,
everybody.
Mr. Rabbi. Okay. I'm not going to be at Rabbi Levitt's class.
Okay, that's good.